Hey guys, how you doing? You see behind me a Subaru Outback Wilderness and an A-Liner Sport. Can the Subaru Outback Wilderness tow this A-Liner Sport across the Rocky Mountains? Tomorrow I'm going to head out. I'm going to do 1,000 kilometers, about, 650 miles through some of the most treacherous roads in the world. Well, not treacherous, but steepest mountain passes in the Rocky Mountains, heading out from Calgary, Alberta, and ended up in Vancouver, British Columbia. All right? And it's starting to rain here, but we're going to do the video. The Subaru Outback Wilderness is loaded up probably with about 150 pounds of gear in the back, and there'll be two of us. So add another 300 pounds of passengers. So the Subaru is going to be carrying, I don't know, let's just call it 400 or 500 pounds. And this trailer is an A-Liner Sport. It says, how much does it weigh? 2,000 pounds. It's a 908 kilogram trailer, 2,000 pounds. 2,000 pounds loaded up with probably another, I'd say 300 pounds of gear. I've got boxes here, which each weigh about 30 pounds. I've got a whole bunch of equipment and stuff that I'm dropping off for someone in Vancouver. I'd say there's another, let's just say 300 pounds inside the trailer. So we're looking at about a 2,300 pound trailer, okay? Subaru Outback Wilderness. Subaru says that should be no problem. My Outback has a trailer hitch that Subaru installed. They did a good job with the trim here on the bumper. Okay, Subaru installed that, but Subaru does not install the 7-way pin here. Which is weird because they say you can tow up to 3,500 pounds with this. And if you were towing a trailer that weighs 3,500 pounds, or even the one that I'm going to be towing, you want the 7 pin because that it enables you to use trailer brakes on your trailer. And there's no way I'd tow anything over 2,000 pounds with any of these vehicles unless I had trailer brakes. And this little puppy here does have trailer brakes. What about the Crosstrek and the Forester? What does Subaru say? Let's head into my laboratory and I'll give you the numbers. Starting with the biggest, the Outback, Subaru says that you can tow up to a trailer up to 3,500 pounds with a maximum tongue weight of 350 pounds. That's a lot. Now, what does the tongue weight mean? The tongue weight is the weight of your trailer pressing down on your hitch. And that's for the Outback, which is the biggest vehicle. The next biggest vehicle, the Forester, Subaru says you can tow 3,000 pounds. That's 500 pounds less. A 3,000 pound trailer with a maximum tongue weight of 300 pounds. Okay. Now the smallest vehicle, the Crosstrek, Subaru says you can tow 3,500 pounds, the same as the Outback, with a tongue weight maximum 400 pounds, which is more than the Outback. How does that number make sense? The smallest vehicle can handle the highest tongue weight and tow just as much as the Outback, even though the engine's not as powerful. It's a little bit weird, but I think it's related to the Crosstrek is a lighter vehicle. It's carrying less weight itself on a suspension that's the same suspension basically as the Outback, so it can handle a little bit more tongue weight. And they say it can pull 3,500 pound trailer, but the Forester can only pull a 3,000 pound trailer. Those are the numbers. The Forester is probably the worst vehicle of the three if you're considering towing a trailer. According to the numbers, the Crosstrek's the best. How much do these cars themselves weigh? Let me read these numbers out to you, okay? The Outback weighs 3,944 pounds, curb weight, with nothing in it. 3,944 pounds for the Outback. The Forester weighs 3,644 pounds. The Crosstrek weighs 3,417 pounds. So Subaru's telling you that you can pull, with the Crosstrek, a trailer that weighs 3,500 pounds with a vehicle that weighs 3,400 pounds. You can pull a trailer that weighs more than your vehicle. And I just wouldn't do that, right? That's ridiculous. It's not safe. It would be like, guys, it would be like you're on a camping trip or you're going hiking with your girlfriend, and you have to cross a river, right? And you don't want to get your shoes wet, so you say to your girlfriend, honey, please carry me across the river. I know you weigh about 120 pounds and I weigh 200 pounds. Subaru says that you can carry me across the river. It's ridiculous, right? You would carry your girlfriend across the river. right? Or your boyfriend. Whoever weighs the least would get carried. Am I right? And these numbers, I guess, are Subaru says you can, a Crosstrek can haul a 3,500 pound trailer, and I guess you can ask your 120 pound girlfriend to carry you across the river, haul your 200 pound ass across. You can, and she could do it, but she might fall down and break her leg. You just can't fight physics, guys. And we're talking about cars. We're not talking about big trucks, okay? We're talking about a car here. But those were the numbers. So if you're asking the question, can I haul my trailer with my Subaru? According to Subaru, Outback and Crosstrek are about the same. In fact, they have a higher tongue weight limit for the Crosstrek. Forester, the weaker of the three choices. I'm going to have a good night's sleep tonight. My Crosstrek here is going to take the week off while I use my Outback to pull the trailer across the Rocky Mountains, starting in Calgary, finishing in Vancouver. There's going to be some very steep uphills and very steep downhills. We're going to go across the Coquihalla Highway, which is a very high alpine mountain road, very scenic. Probably about the toughest towing that you would ever do if you had a trailer with your Subaru. So it'll be a fantastic test. Let's see how it goes. We're about 100 kilometers west of Calgary now, and we're just entering the first range, the Rocky Mountains. The hills are going to start getting a lot bigger now. The first major test is going to be going over Kicking Horse Pass near Golden. That's really steep and really high. We will film that, but just this is the gateway to the Rockies right here. I just filled up just before we leave Alberta here because gas costs a lot more in British Columbia, and we've gone 182 kilometers so far, and my computer says one full tank of gas will give me 650 kilometer range based on the gas mileage I'm getting so far, which is, if I close here, 10.8 liters per 100. 600, oh, it's already dropped to 640. 640 kilometer range. We'll see if that holds going through the mountains. Remember, this car has a bigger gas tank than both the Forester and the Crosstrek. So there is that as well. One of the mistakes that some people make, I think, when they're hauling a trailer is they just want to accelerate as if they weren't pulling a trailer, and they're slamming on the accelerator, and they want to speed up and get to speed like that, and that really puts a lot of strain on the engine. I'm just doing it gently, barely using the accelerator, and this thing is just great. It's not, if you can get 0 to 100 in 3 seconds, it's work with the engine to not strain it so much. If I really press down the accelerator and I really want to speed up quickly, that turbocharger is going to engage heavily, and I don't even think it's the turbocharger is even working when I'm accelerating slowly like this. Remember, this is a 4-cylinder engine, turbocharged, 270 horsepower, and that's the way vehicles are going these days. There's like, did you know that the Toyota Tacoma 2024 Toyota Tacoma has an engine about the same or smaller than this Outback, smaller than the Crosstrek, or about the same. It's a 4-cylinder turbocharged engine in a pickup truck, and you're sure that the power's there if you accelerate, but you're really going to be straining the engine and engaging that turbocharger. So not ideal for pulling big loads, but this thing seems to be doing it easily. RPM 2,500, getting up to 3,000, holding steady at 100 kilometers an hour, barely 3,000. And this is probably a bigger hill than most of the hills you have around where you live. We are in the foothills here, so it doesn't seem like much, but it's just and back down. See the RPM? The engine's not really struggling to get up here, but the big hills are to come. We will see what happens when we get right to let's go right up to the crest here. Still going up, and then I'll show you what we're approaching. That's nothing. This thing is not struggling at all. Staying right on speed. Another reaching the crest of the hill. Very smooth, no no lurching. This thing feels smooth. It's not struggling. It's not, it almost feels like there's no trailer attached at all. The RPMs aren't jumping up when I'm going up hills. And one of the good things about the Outback is when the engine needs a little bit of power to go up a hill, I've got it in cruise control here going 100. Speed limit's 110, but I'm going 100. When it needs to speed up, it does not have to increase the RPM that much because this car has very good torque at low RPM. Right? I can't imagine with the Crosstrek or the Forester, when you're going up one of these hills and you need a little bit more oomph, I suspect that RPM would really increase a lot because they don't have low end torque. They'd probably have to get the RPMs 4,000 or 5,000 RPM just to get up some of these hills. So far it feels great, but the challenge is yet to come. You can't tell, but this is really steep. No problem. You could be driving this in the winter and there'll be an avalanche over top of you. Thousands of tons of snow just shooting up above your head, and you're safe driving underneath like this. See, when we come out, you see the mountain to the right? Pretty nice. And we've got 3,000 RPM, going about 80 kilometers an hour, pulling 2,300 pound trailer. 6% grade downhill for 2 kilometers and then straight uphill. So we've climbed all the way to the top of the Coquihalla Pass, Coquihalla Highway, on top of the Rockies. Have a look. And we're gaining on those trucks. We're doing about 2,500 RPM, doing 90 kilometers an hour. Pulling a 2,300 pound trailer. There's the trucks. This is very steep. I've got it in cruise control, guys. I've got it in cruise control. Going up here. 2,400 RPM, 90 kilometers an hour. These trucks are struggling to get up. You know, they're gearing down and put the hazards on and they're going probably 50 kilometers an hour. This is the steepest road that you'll ever drive, unless you're very adventurous. So far, Subaru Outback Wilderness, pulling the trailer, absolutely no problem. And no big jumps in the RPM. Just smooth. Just holding steady. If I want to decrease the strain on the engine, I could slow down to 80 from 90. Let's do that just to... But there's no indications that this car is struggling at all. So guys, we made it to the west coast. We set up our trailer. We had a good night's sleep. There was a thunderstorm. The Outback Wilderness had absolutely no problem pulling that 2,300 pounds worth of trailer. We went over 3 major mountain passes, Kicking Horse Pass, Rogers Pass, and the Coquihalla Highway Pass. And this thing was absolutely flawless. It pulled the trailer effortlessly. So those are the final numbers, guys. You can see there. Trip A, 1,163 kilometers we drove. Average 10.1 liters per 100 kilometers. And that's pretty damn good. A little bit about pulling a trailer, okay? You know, if you're some of those old automatic transmissions or older model vehicles, you're pulling a load and say you're going at 100 kilometers an hour and you get to a hill incline, you start going up and you're in 6th gear, cruising gear, and then slowly your vehicle's having a harder and harder time pulling up the hill and your speed is going down, 95, 90, 85, and then the car realizes, oh, we can't make it in this gear, and it shifts, and all of a sudden you go, you're in a lower gear, and the car's accelerating back up to 100 if you have it in cruise control. Then it gets to 100 and it shifts back into the 6th gear, and then the speed starts dropping 90, 95, 80, because it can't make it in that gear, and then it downshifts again, and you're constantly doing that. And if you're going over a pass where you have to go 50 kilometers of uphill, you're going to burn out your transmission, and you're really putting wear on your engine. It's just have you had that experience? The reason it does that is because when you drop speed, right, your car wants to accelerate back to the speed you have in cruise control. The RPMs go way up so the car can accelerate, right? So you got that all the way up. There's a difference between maintaining speed and accelerating, okay? For maintaining speed, the car is going to select one position on the RPM curve so that you have enough torque and enough horsepower to maintain that speed. That's what this thing does. It selects it as you're going up the hill, and it doesn't move very much, okay? Acceleration is different. You press down on the accelerator. That's why it's called an accelerator pedal. When you press that thing down, you're telling the car, I want to go faster. It doesn't know how much faster you want to go, so it selects the maximum horsepower, which is usually on all cars pretty much up at the red line. So you press down on the accelerator pedal all the way down, your RPMs go as high as they can, right? Difference between accelerating and maintaining speed. When you're going up long hills, towing something, you don't want to accelerate and redline your RPM. You want to maintain your speed comfortable so that you can get up the hill. This thing does it easily in cruise control. I put it in cruise control at 100, and I get to a hill, and the car just keeps it at 100 with no input from me. It's just at 100, and the RPMs typically on all those passes, 20, 30, 40 kilometers of uphill, steep uphill grade, this thing is just cruising at 2,500 to 2,800 RPM. And you're saying, well, how is that possible? You're making that up. No, I'm not, because this engine hits maximum torque down at 2,000 RPM. All right? Maximum torque at 2,000 RPM. 270 horsepower available at about 2,500 RPM. Maximum torque at 2,000 RPM. You're cruise controlling, pulling a load up the Rogers Pass at 2,600 RPM. No problem. Now, if I push the accelerator down and I want to get the car to accelerate to go faster, yeah, then it'll shoot the RPM up to 6,000, 7,000 RPM. But you don't want to do that, and you want to be gentle on your baby and your engine. You want the car to last. It has no problem selecting the right RPM and easily tow this stuff. Now let me talk for a second about the Forester and the Crosstrek, because Subaru says, yeah, they're capable of pulling that trailer as well. It's going to be different. And just using math and a little bit of science, not having driven the Forester or the Crosstrek pulling a trailer, I'll tell you what it'll feel like, because both the Forester and the Crosstrek do not have maximum torque until you get close to 5,000 RPM. They're not a high torque, low RPM engine. They're different engines, okay? Lower horsepower, 182 horsepower on the Crosstrek and the Forester, and they, more importantly, they don't hit maximum torque until you get to a much higher RPM. So if you were pulling that trailer with the Crosstrek, and you have it in cruise control at 100, and you get to Rogers Pass, and the car is going up, it wants to maintain that speed, the CVT is going to put that RPM at, it's going to select highest torque it can get to keep pulling that load up, and you're going to be probably at 4,500, 5,000 RPM going up that mountain pass at 100. And you're going to think, do I want my car at 5,000 RPM? 5,000 RPM for half an hour, 40 minutes that it takes to get up that pass? No, you're gonna have to slow down. You're gonna have to say, okay, I'm not gonna go at 100, and you're gonna have to do what trucks do, right? When they're going up steep, long mountain passes, carrying a heavy load, and they don't want to destroy their truck, they're gonna pick an RPM where they have high horsepower and high torque, they're in a low gear, and they're going up that hill at 30 miles an hour or 50 kilometers an hour. And you see those trucks, they put their hazards on, they're going up slowly. It's not because the truck engine is not powerful enough. It's because they could go up at 60, 70, 80, 90, but they don't want to rev their engines at 8,000 RPM for 40 minutes. Do you get it? Yeah. This thing, flawless, absolutely flawless. And I went up those mountain passes in cruise control without even, well, it had no problem. A lot of other cars that say don't have the power to do that, if you have it in cruise control, you start going up, that cruise control will turn off because, you know, it says, no, we can't. Either they'll downshift and rev like ridiculously, or they'll just turn off, and you'll have to do it out of cruise control. And a bit of advice: if you're towing a heavy load up a long hill and you're not in cruise control, do not push down on the accelerator and ask your car to do it the difficult way at 5,000-6,000 RPM for the whole way up. You have to ease off, go a little bit slower, a little bit less RPM. Your engine will last longer. Okay. So that's my long-winded story. A little bit of science, a little bit of math. It's not hard. Okay. So Subaru, yes, the Forester and the Crosstrek are capable of pulling the trailer, but do you really want to do that? No, I would not do this trip with the Crosstrek or the Forester. This is the one you want if you're towing a trailer, and that's about as big as I would tow. I wouldn't. Well, wait a minute. It did that one easy. So Subaru, you say this can tow 3,500 pounds? It did 2,300 pounds, as if it wasn't even attached to the car. So that's my. This is a long video, but I wanted to give you the full, share the full experience with you and give you my thoughts. Leave some comments in the comment section, guys. Let me know what you guys think. And of course, let me, because there's going to be some comments, I will address those right away. Yes, a truck will do it even easier. You know, a truck with an 8-cylinder or a big, huge Ford F-250 or something, yeah, it'll pull that like it was a fly on its back, of course, right? Two things: how much horsepower your engine has, and how low in the RPM spectrum is the torque, maximum torque. You know, if you have a high horsepower engine and maximum torque at 7,000 RPM, you're not towing things. That's a sports car, okay? You're right, and you got a high RPM, like it's a Ferrari, a Porsche, right? You're not towing anything with that. You want high horsepower, low RPM torque. That's a truck, right? And this thing, maximum torque at 2,000 RPM, makes all the difference for towing. Do I need to repeat it one more time? Leave some comments. Let me know what you guys think. Subscribe to the channel if you are enjoying the videos. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Nice campground.